Thank you for your prayers. I forgot to tell you, by the way, Mimi has a son who is a newly ordained priest in the Diocese of Providence. Congratulations to you. She's going to let her son know all the mistakes we made here at Sacred Heart. For the last, first of all, we're in a new homily series that we began last week, Change Our Hearts. And as we gather this week, for 3 weeks now, Jesus has been using the imagery of the vineyard. And it's important that we look at this imagery of the vineyard, because Jesus is talking about the vineyard that we live in, our parish here, in every parish throughout the world, that we are vineyards of the Lord. And remember when we gathered 3 weeks ago, we heard the story about the vineyard owner going out at all times of the day looking for people to work. And the surprise at the end of the parable was that even those who came at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, worked 1 hour, received a full day's wage. And the ones that have been working all day long grumbled. They wanted more, but they had agreed on the full day's wage. And we're told that God is constantly inviting us all to work in the vineyard. The harvest is plenty, but laborers are few, inviting us all to work in the vineyard of the Lord. And then, last week when we gathered, we heard about the vineyard owner who had 2 sons. Remember? One son, he says to one son, "Son, go in the vineyard to work," and the son says, "Nah, I don't want it. No way. I'm sick of working for you." And he leaves. The other son says, "Yes, sir." And he turns his back on his father and says, "Too bad, I ain't doing it." But the other son, the first son, had a change of heart. And he decided, you know, my father is so good to me, provides everything for me, I should do what he asks. And he goes into the vineyard and works. And Jesus continues to use that imagery of the vineyard. Here is a vineyard that the owner of the vineyard has done everything possible. He's tilled the soil, he's put a wine pit right in there and put a tower so that you could watch and look at everything, and a hedge around it so wild animals can get in. He's done all the work, and he just wants people to go into the vineyard and tend it, take care of it, and give him his share of the produce at harvest time. But what story Jesus tells us? Violence. People can't get along with one another. They want more than what is their own, and they decide that they're going to kill the servants of the vineyard owner, and, wow, let's kill the son and have everything for ourselves. Violence. And in our own vineyard that we're working and walking in today, there's lots of violence. We've seen lots of violence from natural disasters, from hurricanes and fires and wildfires and earthquakes, and people using weapons of mass destruction, taking lives away. And it's happened over and over again. And the Lord is looking at us and asking us to listen faithfully, be faithful tenders of the vineyard, to recognize all the gifts that God has given us. And our vineyard happens to be right here in Oakdale. This is where we're asked to work. And we might not have the difficulties and the problems that we hear everywhere else, but nobody's sacred. Anything can happen anywhere. And we're to look after and take care of one another. I'm reading a book right now that is entitled Everyone Leads. everyone leads. And the subtitle is How to Bring Life to a Dying Roman Catholic Church. And the author speaks about the fact that we need to go back to what happens in the New Testament, Acts of the Apostles, where everybody in the community worked together as a community of faith. That it wasn't just left up to the disciples. They all pitched in and worked together, looking after the widows, the orphans, those who are hungry, and all working together. And what has happened sometimes in our Catholic faith is that we've left everything up to the priests, the bishops. Remember when the nuns used to teach in the schools for 50 cents a day? And we thought they would take care of everything. And we need to realize that God is calling us all to work in the vineyard. That we need to each take responsibility for doing that. And in the book, he says that there are some parishes where people aren't allowed to take ownership in ministry and responsibility. I want to make sure that is not happening here. You've all received your packet in the mail for our stewardship renewal, inviting you into ministry, and that we're all to take responsibility of sharing our time, our talent, and treasure. That it's not just up to me. I'm doing the work that I can, but we need to work at this together. It's interesting to see how our working together brings healing to people that don't even come to our church. I went to the hospital a little while ago, as I go every Wednesday, and there was a lady listed there who was from Hopedale Sacred Heart Parish. But when I got in the room, I never saw her in my life. And so I introduced myself, and she says, "Oh, I know who you are." I wasn't sure that was good or not. And she said, "I've seen you on the TV Mass." Oh, okay. So thanks to Diane and those that help with the video ministry, I've seen you on the TV Mass. And so I talked with her for about 20 minutes and found out that she no longer goes to church, and she didn't want to be anointed, she didn't want to receive communion, and I asked if we could pray for her. And she said, in the course of her story, she told me the things that happened at church that hurt her. And I said, gee, I'm sorry those things happened. And they happened a long time ago. And before I was here and before I was on the earth sometimes, I think. And but I listened to her story and I said, well, look, this is what I'll tell you. I'm personally going to pray for you. As I was leaving the room, she said, you know, you're as nice as everybody else says you are. And I said, well, I was happy to hear that. I said, not everybody thinks I'm nice. But I'm glad that you heard that I was nice. And she said, I'm going to give some thought to what you have to say. Each one of us has a responsibility. Her knowing who I was, not because she saw me by coming in this church, but by flicking the channel and watching what we have sent out from our parish. And it's important that each one of us has that welcoming heart, that we claim to value our parish, and that we value our parish enough to want to be a part of it. I am thrilled tonight as Joseph is baptized. But I'm also thrilled for Tony and Darryl. I've known them for a long time, a good 15, 16 years, and I know that Tony and Darryl were dating for a long time. And I was thinking, when is Tony going to ask Darryl to get married? What is going on? And so Tony shared with me a little of his story. Finally, at one of Christine's daughter's first communions, I used an old Italian phrase, poop or get off the pot. It's said in stronger language that you might have heard. And Tony says, well, as a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm going to ask Harold to marry me. I said, no pressure on my part. But there's circumstances in all our lives that we can't get married in the church. But those circumstances are why I'm here, to help us to unlock the obstacles, to remove them, so that we can walk together in faith and help one another to receive the grace that comes from the sacraments. And tonight, not only am I thrilled that Joseph is being baptized, their second child, but I'm also thrilled that tonight they've asked us to bless their marriage, to bless their wedding. And sometimes you may find yourself in a similar situation where you need the grace of God's blessings in your marriage. And, you know, I'm as nice as some people might think I am sometimes, but I want to help you to make it. I want to help you make it to receive the grace of God. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to throw any stumbling blocks, to throw stones, or to beat up on anybody. Too often. But I'm here to help us to become faithful disciples of Jesus Christ. I want to concentrate on doing that work. And that's why I'm inviting you all, so that everybody leaves, that we're all doing our part in the vineyard of God, and making sure that we're not a community of violence like we hear today, but we're a community of faith that wants to help everybody make it. So, review the materials that you have received in the mail, prayerfully look at them, and let's continue to walk together as a community of faith. If everybody leaves, we're all going to be and become faithful disciples of Jesus Christ. What's your answer? The son that said yes and didn't, or the son that said no and had a change of heart? Because that's what we're called to. Change my heart, O Lord, make it ever new. Amen.